Yo, what up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Low Five Gaming, a book club style podcast where my brother Luke and I explore the game of the moment or revisit a beloved classic. Book club, book club. Yes, sir.
Second time around. Yeah, it is hard to say.
Yeah, backlog book club, if you will.
Like I always say, instead of cutthroat kitchen, I always end up saying cutthroat chicken for no good reason.
Nice.
And that's a different show.
How you doing, Luke?
Somewhere. I am well. How are you, good sir?
I'm also well, man. I'm excited to talk a little bit about Super Mario Land 2, 6 Golden Coins.
Which is a real game.
It is a real
It's
game,
a lot of
dog.
numbers and a lot of confusion. And not Super Mario World, but Super Mario Land.
It's its own thing.
The first time you texted it, I was like, what in God's name is any of this?
Yes, sir. This one's for the heads, for the Game Boy players.
For the old heads, is what he meant.
But Super Mario Land 2 is a platform game developed by Nintendo for the Game Boy. Now, the development process was done by Nintendo R&D 1, so Research and Development 1, instead of Shigeru Miyamoto, who's like well known for doing Mario, Zelda, etc. on the NES. So he was working on some SNES projects. So when Nintendo,
I think literally Zelda.
I think it was Link to the Past.
Yeah.
But
You heard of it?
you might be familiar. So you would think that the person who was like the main, who basically created Mario would work on
This is
Super
his first
Mario
time that
2.
he took off
Right.
from a Mario project. Not took off, but
Yes,
didn't
sir.
have his hands all up in it.
Right, because around this time, so this would have been a launch title. No. Super Mario Land 1 would have been a launch title for the Game Boy. Super Mario Land 2 decided to go that one instead of 1 just because I think it's a more fun game. It's a little bit more nostalgic for me. But that is why R&D 1 worked on this game as opposed to Miyamoto, which is kind of a fun little fact. R&D 1 also known for the Metroid series, Kid Icarus, etc. So a lot of cool games, definitely churning out cool stuff.
There was definitely a specific person in charge from R&D 1 that Shigeru had as a mentor.
Oh, right on. Yeah.
So like this was he gave it to some trusted hands, so to speak.
And they did good work with it, dude. I'm excited
cool
about
game.
this game.
It's a cool game. Yeah. The first one was a little bit more raw.
Yes.
From what I could tell from the helpful videos that you posted.
Yes, sir. The Gaming Historian. I'll put a little link
Cool
in the
channel.
show notes for that, but that's
cool
on
channel.
YouTube, and that dude is churning out sweet content.
Yeah, it seems built for you with all of just him being just an intense nerdy collector. I was like, fair enough. Yep.
I can dig it.
So that was cool. And then, so the first one seemed a little bit raw, so it sold more because it was launch title, like you said. Like
Right.
It came with a lot of Game Boys. I guess Tetris was the official launch title.
Tetris was your pack-in for Nintendo's pack-in on the Game Boy.
But it was like one of the first games you could buy for the Game Boy, so like its total sales was pretty crazy.
Right.
Whereas 2 was less, but I think critically is the shining star in the Mario Land collection.
And I don't have the numbers on Super Mario Land 1, but Super Mario Land 2 sold over 11 million copies back in the day, and it was released in 1992. And to give a little further context, that launch title, Super Mario Land 1, was released in 89, so a couple years later.
Yeah.
And to further contextualize this little deal,
Context.
this is right around the same time as Super Mario World.
Right. That's my confusion.
Yep. So that would have been, again, so Link to the Past and Super Mario World, Miyamoto was working on those joints.
Yeah. And we bury the lead. The real reason this game is amazing is because it has Wario.
Yes,
Although he doesn't have all
sir.
of his coolness just yet. He's just, his demented Mario version of himself.
Right. So Super Mario Land 2, 6 Golden Coins, debuts your boy Wario.
So not as exciting as debuting the god Waluigi, but Wario still a delightfully demented character. I've always enjoyed Wario.
It's good, man. And it's always kind of fun. Like I mean, Wario's kind of taken off. He's got his own, like the Twisted series. He's got, he's in Smash, and you've got him in your Mario Karts, etc. But it's fun to see that this is where he was kind of unleashed on the world.
Sure, Mario Golf, Mario Tennis,
Yeah.
all of the companion stuff. But he has like a storyline thing for the newest Mario Golf, LOL.
Dude,
If you remember those pods and times.
how about that outfit, bro?
God. All right. Moving forward.
Yeah, why this game, huh? So I chose this game this month, and the reason being, I love my Game Boy games, and this is a top tier Game Boy game, dude. This is one of my favorite Game Boy games, and as I mentioned earlier, it's a very nostalgic piece of my heart, right?
Sure.
So
that nostalgia zone.
Yes. So like we
never do that on this podcast.
Every once in a while, sprinkling some nostalgia.
Never do that on this podcast.
But I was trying to think, man, and I recently guested on Pixel Project Radio. Shout out to those dudes to talk about the Game Boy, and we're talking about how like our past with the Game Boy or whatever. And the Game Boy has been a mainstay in my life for a long time. But I was trying to think, and I was trying to think of that when I was talking to them, when and how I got it, and I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the little brother, so truly they were just around,
right?
And I really had no controller idea, and I never bought a game for a Game Boy.
See, me neither, though. Well, I did the Game Boy Advance, but the original Game Boy?
Even that, they've like filtered into my life where you'd get them or you'd borrow one occasionally. But truly, Game Boys for me were just Pokemon machines.
Sure.
I'd play around with some other stuff, but I was never grasped by the handheld. But
yeah, pre-Pokemon, and who knows how this thing got into our household. Because probably, I mean, either them or it could have been Jamie
sale,
or something.
Garage sale shit, maybe.
But some homies from the block.
Yeah.
but nonetheless, like we had the original DMG in the house. Somehow I snuck that in there. Whatever it was.
DMG.
Yeah, that's what it's called, bro.
A Game Boy is called a DMG.
The original model. Well, it's not like on the shelves. It's not like Game Boy DMG, but that's the model of Game Boy.
All right, Grandpa. Continue on details.
These are important things when you start collecting Game Boys, bro.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
But before you bring up Pokemon, dude, no doubt that is like quintessential Game Boy. But before Pokemon, some of the main games that I played a bunch of were this one, Super Mario Land 2, Metroid. My deep-seated like love for Metroid comes from that time as well. And Tetris, obviously, good shit.
Silence.
I'm just watching Luke be annoyed. He hates Tetris so much. I love it. So the other main one, Link's Awakening.
I suppose we had Oracle of Seasons and Ages, but that was way too
later,
confusing.
Game Boy Color.
Yeah, it was way too confusing for me at the time.
But this game, man, so the house we grew up in, there we had a little living room area, and in our living room it didn't have a TV or anything. It was off from the dining room. And I would find myself sitting in one of the reading chairs we had in there, right?
I've made the mistake of explaining to my coworkers that our TV room had no couch.
Yeah.
So they just roast me for
it's
growing up with no couch. Because our dad was like, no, if you got a couch in front of the TV, you're going to watch TV all day. So we just have shitty posture. Just, dude, we would make do.
Our family computer and our TV were in like the dining room area.
Yeah.
And
there was no dining room table, to be clear. It's just that was the construct of the house. That's what hardwood floor, rug, barber chair over in the corner, which was not positioned to be comfortable for the computer or the TV.
A lot of crisscross applesauce playing some games on in front of that TV.
It wasn't called that back then, but that's okay. A lot of like temporary chairs that I'd smear boogers on.
Nasty.
Yeah. One time, Mom flipped the chair over and she's like, "Dog, that's nasty."
Dog,
what the hell?
We digress.
Yeah.
The point is, I would be in the living room.
Al. I was like, "That shit's Al. You know it's Al." Just kidding.
Sitting on this chair, and this game takes, it's a nice little romp, dude. Like it takes about 2-3 hours to beat, so you can do it in one set of batteries, like during an afternoon if you know what you're doing.
That's a consideration. I forgot about the hustle for begging for batteries.
Yeah, man, and it's funny. We'll talk a little bit more about this later, but the game overall is quite simple. And it's fun though. But then when you get to Wario's castle, fuck me,
dude. I play on the what do you call it, the NSO?
Oh, I don't want to hear it. It's gonna make me so angry.
The rewind. I have no patience for games like this anymore.
Oh my gosh.
So like when I go and like when we were playing a little bit of Mario Maker and I didn't have the rewind, I was like, ugh. Like I'm just not into platformers for the challenge, which makes this game great. And then you combine that with the NSO's rewind. It was definitely a cute little jaunt.
Dog. So that's just it. So we'll just get into it. I said I wanted to hold it for later, but oh man. So and we'll talk a little bit more about like the levels and the way the world's set up in a little bit, but you end up going, and we'll get to the story, but the last level, fucking platforming, it's difficult, dude. Like this whole game's easy.
Yeah.
It's all pretty simple. And then that last level is fucking hard. And I died straight up about 80 times before I beat it. That's a lot of time. That's like Celeste style of fucking frustration.
I suppose. To a true Mario game, though, that's,
it's normal. I mean,
right.
So it's like, it makes sense and it's fine. And the thing is that type of that type of difficulty makes it so rewarding when you do win. You're like, oh fuck yeah, I did it.
Yeah, so you collect coins, and you get past 100 coins, and you don't just get a 1-up and it doesn't restart. And I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And there's this like little house thing that you go into where you play like a slot machine.
I love me slot machines too,
dude. I had like 999 coins because I'd just been cheesing shit. And I went in there and I got some lives, and I think I got like the thing for like 50 lives or 60 lives. It was like something ridiculous. And then I had 69 lives, and I went nice to myself. And then I got out of there, and then it only went up from there because if I ever died, I just rewinded. Sometimes I was like, no, you can play this fairly. You're close enough to a checkpoint. But other times I was like, that's fucking stupid. And dude, just rewind and do it again. I was like, no
you brought
patience.
up the minigame slot machine. So there's an overworld, and there's 6 golden coins. So there's 6 main levels or 6 main like stages to go to, right? And then there's also a couple of other things on the map, including this little mound that you can walk into, and then there's a slot machine, and you have a certain amount of coins.
A house mound,
right?
Hobbit hole,
little hobbit hole,
whatever you want to call it. Sure.
But you go in there, and depending on the amount of coins you have, I think it's like, I can't remember the exact denominations, like 5, 10, 200, 999, something like that.
Yeah.
But anyways, so similar, I had been playing through this game, and I had, almost 1,000, like one short of 1,000 because it doesn't let you hit 1,000.
Okay.
But I go in there, I play it, and dog, I hit 99 lives. I was so happy. Dude, I was like, and the funny thing is it brought me back. I was telling you about playing this game at our parents' house back on that chair. And just that, like, dude, it's not like I looked it up because I was like, I wonder how easy it is. Like, does it always give you 99?
Yeah.
And there's like a 1% chance you hit that 99 according to the internet.
You're playing on an actual, was it a Game Boy or one of your little, not an emulator, but one of your toys,
so I actually,
pocket analogs or.
So I played this game on the original Game Boy cartridge. So the game itself on the Analogue Pocket, which is it's a very Game Boy-esque machine that plays Game Boy, Game Gear games, Game Boy Advance, etc. But it's made by a company called Analogue, and it came out a few years ago now, a couple of years. But it's great. It's like the best way to play.
Cool, fun little toy.
Totally.
So for you, lives matter,
dude. Yeah, but
all
99,
lives matter. I'm fucking with you, but no, for me, like it was never an issue of whether I unlocked a 1-up. Sometimes you do it just because you're playing a Mario game and you find stuff and you're like, all right, cool, but. I guess 99 lives when it actually matters and you need to get through a castle. Stoked. Yeah, that'd be really cool.
I know that, like I told you, I died like 60, 80 times trying to fucking beat Wario. It was driving me nuts. And when you have 99 lives and you whittle them down to like 60, you feel it did not feel good about that. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So I go back.
It would get worse when you get real low and you got to grind because this doesn't feel like a game like you'd have to go out and grind. I'd hate redoing levels to grind. That would piss me off.
There's some tricks to that though. But the funny thing is though is I did whittle my lives down quite a bit, and then I was like, man, I need to re-up my lives. And I set up a bunch of coin. Wario's Castle, you don't collect any coins there. So like I set up a bunch of coin. I went to go play the slots, and I ended up winning 40 lives or something like that. And I was like, cool. Well, the thing is, I was like, cool, I can go back. And then I did end up beating it with that coins or like with that life set. But I was like, man, what happened here? This game was so easy. And then all of a sudden.
It is quite the spike.
But let's rewind a little bit, dude.
Checkpoints in the castle?
There's not.
Yeah, I noticed that.
That's what I'm saying,
That's
dude.
why I got pretty aggressive with the rewind on the castle because I'm like, I'm not redoing all that other shit.
That's what I'm saying. This castle is unreal. But let's rewind a little bit. So you have an idea of why this game is very nostalgic for me.
Yeah.
Do you have any personal history with this game?
I didn't know it existed so I probably saw the cartridge along the house, but I have no memory of playing the game. And you picked a game that only took a few hours, and I've been balls deep in Tears of the get the fucking point. Tears of the Kingdom.
Breath of the Wild.
It was a
Part
nice
2.
companion, and even so, I was getting so into it that I pulled an Alex. Alex always just tries to beat the game the day before we pod, and I was like, I feel like
to keep it fresh for our talk.
Right, and I have lots of thoughts now because now I'm just playing. I did like 3 of the levels overtime, and then I did 3 in the castle yesterday in an hour when the boys were napping like good old boys.
Nice.
It was tight.
So yeah, that's my... So no personal background really. I saw the cartridge laying around the house. So what is this
background,
old relic?
Never knew it was around. Saw the title and was like, "What is this?" My first impression of it was like, "Was this like a McDonald's giveaway in a Happy Meal?" It's like
shout out to Grimace.
Yeah, shout out to. I didn't get a shake, man. That's kind of
me
bummed.
neither. But I did play the Grimace game though.
Sick, dude. But it's kind of like when you're like, "I want the new Mario game." It's like we have Mario at home, and like this is Mario at home. And I actually really didn't like it at first. I was like, this is kind of busted and weird.
Yeah, you were
and
hating,
different.
dude.
Yeah, it was weird. And I don't quite like. You have so much built-in expectations around Mario, and it's the way it feels and the way it looks, and like even like some quintessential Mario stuff. Like you get the fire flower in this game, and then there's like a fucking feather on your head, and I was like, what is going on?
Right.
Now you were like, fuck you. Al was real aggressive on this one, like preemptively aggressive, and then follow up aggressive on this one. Like he really was like, you're gonna play this fucking game, you're gonna like it.
It's a dope game,
It
dude.
is cool in the end. But you definitely took some more aggressive cajoling than usual.
I had to set the table. I had to be like, watch this video.
Right. No, so when I did watch the Gaming Historian video, it actually, so, to the audience who hasn't watched said video, the feathers, because the original Game Boy, for those of us that aren't a million years old, the original Game Boy was like not quite black and white, but like hues of green.
Yeah, there's 4 shades of gray. Well,
Why
green.
does it always look greenish?
It is green. I don't know why people. It kind of drives me a little nuts that people always refer to it as gray, but it is. They're like 4 shades of green.
Yeah, it's like black and white as far as a color palette is
Right.
concerned. Like a palette being the variety of what you were seeing,
Yeah.
but like it's like a greenish hue. So you can't have Mario turn like red into the different overalls. So you have to show that he has the fire ability. So I guess that means a feather.
Yeah, dude, it's funny. There's a few different power ups in this game.
There's just 2, right?
Well,
There's a star if you count that, but there's the feather.
3, 4 technically. So you've got the feather, or wait, no,
Which
no,
confusingly
it's not
makes
the
you
feather.
shoot fireballs.
Right. So
So you grab a fire flower, there's a feather
Yes.
on your head, and you
There
shoot
you go.
fireballs if we're
Right.
keeping track.
there's a regular mushroom that you're maybe used to.
Sure. I guess, yes.
That makes you Super
that is
Mario
a
from
power
small to big.
up. Sure.
And then you've got the fire
Viagra
flower, which
Mario.
gives you the feather hat, which is
Yeah.
confusing when you start combining that with your knowledge of Super Mario World, where you get a feather and fly.
Yeah, but like now in this game, you get a feather still. Is it a
Yeah.
feather to get the wings on your hat?
It's bunny ears, dude. So it's like, well, so
Sure.
no, it's a carrot of some sort, right? So
Yeah,
it's so it's not a feather, it's a carrot. You get the carrot, then you
Yeah.
get bunny ears,
Like, the
which
fuck
is
are you talking
ridiculous
about?
because those allow you to float through the air, which is
Yeah.
actually a really cool power up. And that's probably, and I love the cape like feather in Super Mario World as well. I love to fly with Mario.
Sure.
So in this game, and actually, if you are able to bring that power up to the infamous Wario / Mario's castle, to play that level, like it does make it a little easier if you don't get hit, in my opinion, because you don't get that power up throughout the game until you're fighting Wario. There's a spot where you can get it. Maybe I can't remember.
The
for
bunny
sure.
ears and wings are all over the place. The fuck you talking about?
Nah, dude, not like in the castle.
Oh, you mean like, okay, I thought you meant like at all in the
Oh,
world
yeah,
of
yeah,
worlds.
yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
no.
fuck you, like
And
you
it's-
played this game wrong for all these
No,
years,
no,
dude?
no.
They're everywhere.
So it's funny though that those bunny ears / whatever the fuck you want to call them to make you fly. It's very similar to Kirby.
because bunnies fly, children. For
Right,
those
right.
Keeping it, and it's not really a fly as much as
It's like a little
keep.
float flutter.
Yeah, yeah.
But it lets you, but you like don't really descend. Like you descend gradually, but dude, if you jump up high, you can like
cheese
just
it a little bit
cheese
more
through
than-
levels if
yeah.
you want to. Just kind of similar to Kirby, which is funny.
Fair.
But yeah, so we've been talking a little bit about like we keep mentioning Wario's castle.
Mario's castle. Wario just jacks
right.
your shit, dog.
Right. So some just speaking of setting tables, let's briefly set the table for our audience
What a
about the story and
transition. What a
story and
professional.
gameplay, right?
Continue.
So Super Mario Land 2, as we mentioned, marks the debut of Wario. So he's taken over Mario
I
Land.
believe it's pronounced Wario, but whatever.
So he's taken over Mario Land while Mario is out defeating the evil alien Tatanga and saving Daisy. So Super Mario Land 1 was our introduction to Daisy.
Sure.
And Super Mario Land 1 was the first time that Super Mario wasn't in the Mushroom Kingdom.
Oh yeah,
All right?
it was like almost like distinctly not Mario enough, and people were like,
Right.
"This is weird."
Right. So they actually, for this game, when they made the successor to Super Mario Land, they wanted to make it more Mario-esque, right?
Yeah.
And so they brought us to this new, basically they made it actual Super Mario Land. So like, I guess the player is meant to believe this is where Mario lives, and why Mario has.
This is a suburb of the Mushroom Kingdom.
And he's been doing quite well for himself. He's got a big old castle.
This is like the New Jersey.
He's got like
to
a big
Mushroom
mech. He's got
Kingdom,
like a
yeah.
big mech Mario. Like there's all this shit going on.
Yeah,
the big
weird
robot
big
Mario.
shrine to himself. Yeah, it was, a little strange.
But then, so like while he was out saving Daisy over in whatever they call it, Sarasa Land, Daisy's little place, Wario has come in and set some crazy spell and enchanted Mario's like home and like made all these enemies. And he's taking over. He's like, fuck it, I'm taking your house. Fuck you, Mario.
Classic Tail.
Tail as old as time.
Right. My shit now.
Right. And so
he locks it behind some fancy door that you need to collect coins.
So this makes this a direct sequel to the first game. So presumably Mario comes home, shit's fucked. He needs to go collect coins so he can get into his house.
All
and
of his
Wario.
amiibos have been trashed around and put in different places.
Right.
All the humanity.
But
Game Boy games are taken out of the case and just left astray.
Oh, it's a mess.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
A couple things that this game introduced to Mario and the Mario franchises. You have a save feature.
Yeah.
Pretty nice.
Like a checkpoint.
And you have checkpoints. I was like,
why am I ringing these fucking bells?
Checkpoints, dude.
Well, I was cheesing shit so hard I wasn't dying, so I didn't know that the checkpoint was a checkpoint for a while.
Right. And similar to Super Mario World, you have an overworld when the game starts, right? So you've got this Super Mario Land that we've been talking about, and then you have 6 different zones. And in each of these zones is where you have one of the coins to collect. Yeah,
they're very distinct. They're very thematic and pretty cool. That's probably the strength of the game.
Great music in each one, too.
Didn't notice that as much. Yeah, I had the sound on, and it was cool, like good sound effects and all. But
and it's Game Boy too, and I think that's one of the things you have to kind of. I mean, they're definitely bops, but like at the same time, you're like, it's Game Boy.
Yeah, it's
like,
not as involved as some of the others. It's more limited, I guess. Is
totally.
The way to put it, yeah.
That said, you've got all of the zones: Tree Zone, Space Zone, Macro Zone, Pumpkin Zone, Mario Zone, Turtle Zone. Did you have a favorite zone? Because they're all very distinct, as you mentioned.
I would say that Turtle Zone was probably the lamest.
Right on.
And that's the one I started with.
Yeah, so that's another you bring up. That's when you started with. So that was another cool thing about this particular game is it gave you a sense of agency and freedom to decide which direction you wanted to start in.
Yeah, which also makes all of the levels equally difficult, which is not very difficult.
Right.
Which I actually thought was pleasant because it's just a little romp for me. Yeah, so I wasn't like looking
to get to that damn castle.
Yeah, sure. So like I can see this being accessible to all ages, and if you're really into Mario, you don't care. Like some people really love the challenge, which is cool, but like it makes it a very accessible game, which makes a ton of sense on a Game Boy. So I think that would probably irk some people, but for me, I found that cool. Like it wasn't like, oh crap, I gotta beat this game, and I was like getting progressively harder. It was more just like, all right, what's the theme here? And it really let me like take that in.
Although this game was critically acclaimed when it dropped. So reviewers did love it. And I think that it's hard to look at some of these retro games and kind of realize you have to contextualize the time, right?
Right.
So like the hardware that it was being put on. So the fact that this game is on Game Boy is actually pretty fucking cool.
Yeah. So then I'd say Turtle Zone, although the boss is fairly cool. And like the fact that you could see, like you were like fight the last battle in the whale and like its ribs are like will stab you. That's a strange thing, but it was cool. And that's why what the game did really well is like it did a pretty decent job of making you feel like you were in these thematic levels that associated with the overworld. So then I'm just going to do a whole order here.
Sure.
The Space Zone, I don't remember anything from it.
Tree
Zone.
Zone.
Kind of float around. No, I'm saying of my personal ranking.
Oh, word. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So then Turtle Zone, the Space Zone was just like meh.
Okay. I'll hold and then I'll
Sure, you're allowed your opinions too. Tree Zone was pretty cool. And then I think somewhere between the Mario, the Pumpkin, and the Macro. Macro is just like a house.
Yeah, it's almost
you're like a tiny thing in a big house.
Right. So it reminds me of like Polly Pocket. You remember those? Or Micro Machines?
Micro Machines, yes. Polly Pocket, no. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids vibes for sure. What was that? Grounded, which came out more recently, where you're a kid that got shrunk into the yard. So I thought that was really cool. The Pumpkin Spooky Zone I thought was really cool. The little Jason mask enemies was like the goofiest thing about the whole game, perhaps. That was just kind of funny.
All the enemy character design, I think, in this, it's all pretty fun.
Yeah, and then the Mario Zone where you're in this giant mech children's museum-esque type of
gears
Mario.
And stuff going on. Yeah,
that might be the coolest one because it's just so fucking weird. And
my favorite boss battles in that one too.
What was it?
The 3 little pigs.
Oh, okay. I don't remember the bosses as much. Just I remember the vibe and the themes of the different levels. And once again, if you have any access to this game, it is a fun little romp. And
it's on NSO, so folks that have that. You definitely can play it there.
Oh,
And it's on the
Lord.
original Game Boy, so therefore you don't even need the expansion pack.
Sure, yeah, it's on the base one. But yeah, the themes and the difficulty being challenging at times. Like, it's not like a total walkthrough, but like the fact that it's not super intense and you can just kind of enjoy these themes made it pretty cool and exploratory.
Yeah. So for me, dude, Tree Zone, I'll just go another way. I have them listed on our outline, but Tree Zone, that's a...
No, rank them right now.
If you want me to rank them, dude,
No.
I'm going to have to
Fuck is
put...
a podcast if we're not ranking.
I'm going to have to
shit.
put Mario Zone, the Mech Mario deal, going at number 1.
Reverse order. You don't just blow your load. This is your first podcast. Come on.
I'm going top down.
Jesus Christ.
Top down, dude. They're all fun. The thing is, we've already mentioned, here's the
He's
deal.
just sitting with a load in his pants, and who's going to listen to the rest? Continue, though. You said
Maybe I got
Mario?
6 loads, dude, doing porn. Jesus Christ. Great pod.
This is a family podcast, said no one.
Dude, I'm gonna start with the top. Here's the thing, though, is they're all like pretty equal because you've already mentioned,
Yeah.
the way that this game was designed is they're honestly like
Yeah,
they
right.
all have their own flavors.
Act like Turtle Zone isn't your least favorite,
See, Turtle Zone's that's your quintessential water like
which always sucks.
thing. So yeah, I'm not really a fan of Turtle Zone, to be
As
honest.
a kid, did you have favorites? That's actually what I'm more interested in.
Yeah, no. So that is why I love Mario Zone the best, and that's because not necessarily. Okay, I'm gonna rescind that a little bit. This goes 2 ways. The actual zone that I like the best as a kid, Space Zone. But the reason I chose Mario Zone is for the 3 Little Pigs. That's my favorite boss.
Okay.
Space Zone was fun because it plays with the physics, right? So
Yeah.
you go into
Spacey.
there's a weird I can't remember. It's like the
It's like a dragon.
It's like the big hippo, right?
It had like a big dragon ass tail.
Oh, right on. Well, no, on the overall map though, there's that hippo looking
Yeah.
thing. Does it really have a
It
tail?
looks
I have to
like
go
more-
look.
I mean,
Maybe.
I can see the
I've always thought of it
confusion.
as a hippo, I guess.
Sure. I thought there was like a tail on
But
it
in
or
the
some shit.
in like I guess you would call it like the northwest corner of this overworld map, there's this hippo
Sure.
thing that brings you to Space Zone.
Yeah.
And Space Zone, Mario wears a spacesuit.
I actually like how the turtle came and gobbled you up to get
Yep.
into the sea zone. But
Yep,
continue.
yep.
Yeah.
But so Mario wears a spacesuit, right? And it fucks with the physics. So if you hold down the
floaty.
jump button,
Yeah.
Mario can float across the end. So as a kid, I always thought that was really cool, like
Yeah.
that Mario's doing that. And as an adult, I thought that was pretty cool. It's like a playful way to like fuck with these worlds. So Space Zone. But you bring it back to the favorite boss, 3 Little Pigs. So all these bosses, Tree Zone's got Big Bird. That's whatever. There's nothing to write home about Tree Zone. It's fine. It's fun. It's like your like regular Mario.
I often write letters to our mother about Tree Bird, but continue.
So you're fighting Big Bird, and all these bosses, pretty much the same deal.
Swoops down, you jump on
Swoops
it.
down, jump on it 3 times, game over, done. Right?
Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah.
Space Zone, I mentioned, that's Tatanga. That's the boss there, and that's a fun throwback to Super Mario Land 1. So that's that evil alien that fucks with Daisy's homeworld. But he comes back. Unfortunately, it's not a shmup style battle like it is in Super Mario Land 1.
Oh yeah.
But, I digress.
Yeah. Sure.
Macro Zone, that's the Polly Pocket thing we had going on. Sewer Rat. Again, like I do think that playfulness of like having Mario be small and everything real big is really cool.
Yeah.
But then Pumpkin Zone, I thought that was really cool. The little Jason character that you mentioned is a lot of fun, but it has a whole
Mask and knife combo.
Right.
It's a very strange
Right.
Mario enemy.
but that has a whole like Halloween vibe going to it.
Yeah.
Which is cool. And then the witch is kind of a fun battle too. But again, all these bosses are the same. It's like hit them 3 times, you win. They swoop down. That's kind of the deal. But I do like the vibe from each, and the Halloween vibe in Pumpkin Zone is pretty cool. And the music there is pretty cool too. Turtle Zone, we already mentioned that. Octopus, same deal. Water always kind of sucks. Why does that have to be thrown in everything? But it's where we are.
Yeah.
Mario Zone with the 3 Little Pigs. Now, this one, the one I keep saying is my favorite, is because the 3 Little Pig battle is pretty like, it takes that same formula, but in my opinion, it's just more fun. You got 3 pigs that you got to deal with. They jump out of their little houses, and they all do different stuff, right?
Have a different
you've got
cadence almost of how they bop
Right.
at you. Yeah.
right. So I think like even
That
as
was
a
real
kid,
nice to rewind. I was like, nice. All right. Didn't quite get that length right. Let's jump a little
Yeah.
higher. Yeah.
It's like, well, like we said earlier, I didn't have the rewind and I took them down no problem. But that's just where we're at with it.
Sure. I didn't have a childhood of training for this game. So,
but the Three Little Pigs, man, that just like the old story, the Three Little Pigs, you've got three little pigs of different sizes. So you're like,
why is that the boss for a giant Mario?
Who knows? I don't know. All right. But they have one, like the big, tall, skinny one, like does this huge boing up in the air.
Just
where
love
it
to be in the room, being like, so our giant mech Mario Toyland. What's the enemy? 3 pigs?
Yeah.
Bet, bro. That makes so much sense.
Do it. Put it on the board.
What about our spooky land? Like, how much is like a Jason mask with legs? It's like Goombas, but they're Jason mask wearing.
But the Three Little Pigs, that was my favorite boss fight. But yeah, dude, and that brings us to Mario's castle that has been taken over by Wario. No checkpoints, pretty grueling platforming, and then you have 3-stage boss battle.
The boss battle was less annoying than like you went through these 3 rooms with like these swooping orbs that were like,
dude, I don't even know what that thing's supposed to be, but it sucks.
It's just and it wouldn't let you finish the room. Like you could run past them, but you
that's what you're talking about. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, they sucked.
They're like big balls that like go.
Yeah, I was like, this isn't interesting or particularly not unfair, but I was like, this is an annoying challenge that I don't care. And I had rewind, and I was like, ugh.
So this thing's been memeified. So even the people that didn't grow up with the DVD player screen or like in their schools where the
obscure meme community you're in, but continue.
You know what I'm talking about? Where the
Super
DVD
Mario 2 Land,
where the DVD logo bounces off the edges of the screen.
That's awesome. I totally thought of that. I was like, because they do bounce around like that thing.
So that's why I bring it up with the orbs, dude.
Oh
and they have like the little mustaches like Wario. So it's like it's presumably some sort of Wario. I was
like, if I wait long enough, will one hit the corner?
Yeah. Well, that's a little trick
awesome.
to that. If you run to each corner and you hide in the corner, there's a way less chance that those will hit you, and you can kind of time your jumps better.
That's fair.
And there's different stages to the platforming. I don't even want to talk about it because it's so frustrating because there's no checkpoints and you have to restart. If you die, you restart the level. So like, dude, you got fire flowers coming at you. You've got these little platforms that at the time, like your jumps correctly. It's annoying. And there's like, dude, it's also like, it's not fair, man. There's like secret switches on the floor where you touch and then like a big fist will come down and punch you.
Yeah.
Like, dude.
You get used to that, but I rewound that more than I'm proud of. It's worse is there's like this little there's a platform that moves that you gotta jump and then you gotta jump off to another one or like duck, and I was like, that was annoying. The rewind was real nice.
That's just it. Oh man, that's what I was saying earlier when I was like, I'm gonna come at you, dude. But I was so angry when I was doing it. And I knew that you had rewind too. I was like, oh, this motherfucker, he just doesn't even know.
Yeah,
he doesn't know how difficult this will be.
Technically one take. Technically speaking,
I told you earlier.
Hit Wario's castle in one take.
I told you earlier. The pot took me like 60 takes plus maybe.
Yeah, no, and I've had that experience. Like I beat Super Mario World like for our pod a few months back,
right?
But like truly, like rewinds, looking stuff up.
It's nice. It makes games more accessible. But the thing
I can't say I actually beat it though. Whereas like I have a buddy who
asterisks.
I have a buddy who like. There's one level he can't beat, but there's a different path into the castle that he looked up and did. And I was like, damn, he can say he actually beat that game. 'Cause some of those boss battles and like levels are really intense. And like there's a certain like pride that you can have, which is cool. Like, but also like, who gives a fuck? Like, I'm not, my wife isn't married to me because I'm like,
well, here's what you're missing out on, though.
I technically beat the game without the rewind feature.
And I'm not hating on rewind because I use
it makes
rewind.
It accessible and it's super cool.
I agree. And it allows people to it allowed me to not be a champ at Super Mario World.
Yeah.
And to take that game down for the pod. And for fun, because that's just it. But if you want to give yourself that challenge of not using the rewind or playing it on a system that doesn't allow it, I think that's fun too. And here's what you're missing out on. And here's what when I beat it, I was like, man, you know what Luke doesn't get? The satisfaction that he fucking did that shit.
It's true. It's very true.
Oh man, but yeah, dude. So that boss battle though, you've got all this platforming. Then you get to Wario. Oh, you get after these orbs, which there's one orb. Then you go to the next room, 2 orbs. Pain in the ass. Third room, 2 orbs again. Just like, come on, man. Why we have to do this, Wario? Why are you fucking me?
Yeah.
And he was like, well, fuck you, Mario.
Either give me 3 orbs or no orbs at all in that room.
Right? I was kind of confused.
Like another 2.
3 orbs would have been really hard. And here's the thing: is like,
speaking, though,
they sprinkle very sparingly some power ups throughout the castle, which like I'm glad they do.
Yeah.
And so with the power ups too, you have regular little Mario. If you get a mushroom, that will bring you to Super Mario bigger. And let's just get a third way up, you get your fire flower or whatever. Right? So if you get knocked by an enemy, if you get knocked by an enemy, it will give you an enema. No, it'll bring you back one time, so it digresses back. So you don't go like some Mario games. If you get knocked with firepower, you go back to just regular Mario. So it is nice that on that third level power up, it brings you back to 2 and then 1 if you get hit again. So it allows you.
What game did we play recently where you go all the way back to Tiny Mario? That so fucking suck balls. Is that Super Mario World?
I think it might be.
I hate that shit. Like, give me super powered to medium size to crappy Mario.
Super Mario World lets you like bank one though, which is kind of nice.
That's true.
But yeah. So like that is one saving grace about this is at least like especially if you enter the castle with a power up already, like you're better equipped to like go through this fucking gauntlet.
Always.
But oh man, difficult.
I suppose if you die though, you're robbed of that unless you want to like really grind. Which is not.
But in the end, if you beat it, you get your castle back. Everything's good in the world. You boot Wario out of there. Say, see you later, dude. And that's it.
Back to your brother's house where you live together.
Presumably.
Waluigi. The only thing we didn't mention is at the end of most all regular levels, they're without a boss. There's there's the easy way out or the basic way out, and then there's up high. There's a bell that you ring, which is another strange, like interesting way.
And that's something that was introduced in Super Mario Land 1. Not the bell per se, but the that mechanic, which is the two options. Yep.
And the top victory
Triggers
path does not give you, it doesn't give you like in other games that might give you a secret level or a secret path. In this game, it gives you like kind of a crane game with a moving path. And then,
dude, so
for me, I always hated sometimes when I fail, I'd rewind.
I'm having an epiphany here, dude. Like I'm obsessed with the crane game. Sure. Or used to be. Like that's a story for another day.
Okay.
But I like 1 crane game.
To pay extra for Alex's crane thoughts.
2, I'm like, I dig slot machines. Like if I'm in Vegas or something, like I'll play slots. Fuck it, I'll play. Dude, you can play both the crane game and slot machines in Super Mario Land 2, and I think that's why I'm obsessed with both those games.
Sure. I hate gambling of that variety. Maybe it's because I didn't play this as a kid.
That's what I'm saying. Mario has tainted my life to be a gambler. I'm not really much of a gambler, to be honest. But those two things I do like to play.
Yeah.
But that's it, man. And then, so that is the second installment in the Super Mario Land series. Super Mario Land 3 is super. No, it's not super. Is Wario. Wario Land.
Yeah, you play as Wario.
Yep. So that is you actually get to, and that's a cool subversion of the series too, because you get to, it's actually a really great game. And maybe we'll play it for the pod sometime. But it is a good one.
If they release it on NSO.
And that is a fun one. But that is that's your trio. That's your Super Mario Land games. Super Mario Land 2, man. It's a good one.
Hell yeah.
Cool. And with that, dude, you want to take a little break, come back with an unsanctioned sponsor? Or wait, how do we do this again?
That's it.
Take a break for our unsanctioned sponsor. Come back with our side quests.
Great podcasting.
Right on. This episode is unofficially brought to you in part by Star Wars children's books.
Oh.
Dog, you're a dad.
Dad.
I'm about to be a dad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I thought you meant like your dad, like, you know.
Yeah, we got a dad. Dad's was the unsanctioned sponsor last month.
Right. I am a dad, yes.
But here's the deal. Star Wars. Love me some Star Wars. Star Wars children books have been starting to be coming into my life.
Sure.
Because my wife and I, we've been reading. We've been reading to our child in the womb.
In the womb. Wow.
Right.
Wow.
And we've been,
I didn't do that shit. That's maybe my boys aren't reading. I didn't do none of that shit.
But a few people, that's hilarious. But a few people have
God bless you,
gifted us Star Wars books, right?
Sure.
And you and Trish gifted us Where the Wild Things Are.
Sure.
So
not Star Wars themed for those of you who are confused.
Right.
Although could be pretty delightfully co-opted into that. That would be
I feel it could be in the universe somehow.
A lot of Wookiees and shit. I don't know. Pun intended to you Grateful Dead folk.
Been reading to our little baby in the womb, trying to make him smart, trying to make him understand my voice, right?
Sure.
And then I play him the pod just so he can no, I don't do that.
All my baby heard was this like stressed out heavy sighs and
But on Section Sponsor, Star Wars books, dude. Dude, I love it. It has been so much fun reading these books because, dude, it makes me think about like how funny and ridiculous it is. Like Star Wars is a big part of my life. I've loved Star Wars since I can remember. But the fact that I have a child coming into this world that is going to grow up with books about Star Wars.
They're naming it Han, by the way.
No, he's got a name. I'm going to save that for later for y'all.
Chewbacca.
and it's not Star Wars related. Nonetheless, though, I really love this idea of a human being growing up in a world where his first like pivotal memories and favorite books could be Star Wars themed. Dude, like I
hope
read
he
this story.
just hates Star Wars and he's like, I want to do sports, Dad. This is fucking stupid.
Oh man, but I think it's so hilarious, dude. And I think it's just so funny. I think about like my life and like where the Wildlings are very pivotal in my childhood and my like I love that book. And I'm sure that, or I hope that my child will love listening to that book as well. But I also hope that like these Star Wars stories, I was reading this one last night or whatever, and it's about Anakin pod racing and shit, right?
Oh, sure.
So it's like this lore, like this Star Wars lore. And I'm like, dude, some people like grow up reading the Bible. My kid's gonna like be like talking about Jedis and shit.
There's biblical undertones to a lot of
There
that shit,
is.
so why not?
So I'm gonna have to like do some like explaining. I think. Be like,
explaining before he gets into schools.
But here's to reading to your kids whether they're born already or whether they're
sure you
in the
definitely
womb.
read to your kids and encourage reading. Trisha's been reading this book. One cool thing about the doctor's office is they give you, I don't know if you've been told this, but you'll definitely find out. You have a lot of checkups. Not a lot. You'd actually kind of appreciate more because you get stats. Like your baby's on this percentile, this stuff. It's fun. It's the dorky part of me really enjoys that. But what's really cool is that there's some sort of initiative where the doctor's office gives you books, age appropriate to whatever your checkup is. Cool. So your 3-month checkup, they're going to give you a book. 6-month checkup, they give you a book, so on and so forth. It's really cool.
That is cool.
Like, I can afford books, but I just kind of love that when you go there, I'm sent home with a book. But there's one where it's just different animals, so Trisha just adds the different animal noises, and my boys are squirrely as hell. So, like, we try to read to them, but they don't just, like, sit down. They're just, like, they're moving and grooving, trying to chew on the book. Baby stuff.
Sure.
But she makes these exaggerated animal noises, so they kind of, like, listen. The owl goes... Who? I was cooking dinner. I was like, what the fuck is that? She's like, what? How am I supposed to say who? And I'm like, why is your owl go, who's at my door? Who?
Oh, that's great.
I geeked out really hard. So now every time she reads it, she goes, who? And I'm like, whoo is how you really, so,
Wait, how do you really do it?
Whoo, not who. I mean, you make an owl noise. Whoo. Is it Mario? Ha ha. Oh, that's Mickey, my bad. What's Mario's noise? You just played a Mario game and did an old Mario game. Gotta do that.
Mario doesn't make any noise.
Yeah, he does. It's like the only thing Chris Pratt did in the movie.
Oh.
Ha ha. I don't know. Whoo, ha. I don't. You get the fucking point. Al can put in some sounders. Woo-hoo.
He's just reading books.
Read to your fucking kids. I don't care if they're 20 years old. Be like, sit down, boy.
Call them up in college. Hey, I just thought I would read you this book tonight. Mom,
there is a really sweet book, and it's like, I love you now, I love you forever, or whatever, and like the mom rocks the child.
Dude, we read that. We've been reading that one too.
Dude, it's weird as an adult. She like breaks into his house with a fucking ladder. Like, it's
dog. And then she
something
throughout
man.
the progressions of life too. She like every time she like creeps into his room, like crawling and
yeah.
stuff. It is creepy.
Strange,
very sweet
strange
book.
But well, the end of it brings it all like tears you up first time you read
right.
it to your child. But like, you're gonna take care of me someday. But like, if you haven't seen this book in a while, you're like, this is a strange relationship she's developed with her son, dude. He's a grown ass man, nice 2-story house. She'd be taking a like what a 16-foot ladder and getting all up in there. It was strange.
It was weird, dude. Oh man, I love
kids
it.
Books.
Mm-hmm.
Who?
All right, man.
You've had enough.
No, that's cool. That's sure I'm good. Let's come back for some side question.
Yeah, come back.
You ready for some side quests?
Yeah, dude.
Right on. You got any? I didn't write any down because I didn't want you to be like, dog, you got a million side quests. Of course I got a million side quests, dude. We played Super Mario Land 2. We had a whole month to do it. It takes 2 to 3 hours to beat that game.
He wrote in the outline, side quests are fun. Luke is a hater. I'm not sharing my side quests pre-pod, so he'll know if I have 1 or 1,000. And then So yes, because I do viciously scold Al. He leaves it in most of the time, but he might lightly.
It depends on how hard you go in on me.
Yeah, I'm like, you got 3 minutes to dump you. See, it's also like some games we spend like an hour talking about, and I'm like, I don't have 30 extra minutes on this pod, dog. But anyway, Tears of the Kingdom has been mainly the game I've played. I'd say I've lightened up on it as far as when we recorded our pod, we were like, what, 30 to 40 hours deep?
Maybe a little bit more than that, actually.
I've ripped past that. I'm at like 120 now.
Nice.
And what's wild is I've done 2 temples. And there's
what was the second one that you did?
The water temple.
Oh.
So I had have you done that one yet?
Nope.
You just did the rock and the air. What's called the air for the bird folk, the Rito village one.
Yep.
Yeah.
You call them the fire temple, the rock temple?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
I mean, it's in a volcano, right?
Yeah, sure.
It's basically, you have to have a fireproof
Lava.
So it's your traditional fire temple type shit. But anyway, the water temple, which is, probably got a stupid other name. And I also did the spirit temple, which really deeply surprised me.
So you've done 3?
I guess so, because it says to investigate the 4 disturbances, and I just stumbled into the 5th one, because there is a 5th one, and if you watch the cutscenes, there's like the different sages or whatever they call them. That's a pretty typical Zelda thing, so that's not really a spoiler. And it was really cool because you started in this, and it really the layers of the game, which is really cool. The sky, the base level, and the depths. It was really cool because you investigate this thing in the sky, and then all of a sudden there's this beam. And then all of a sudden you're down below and you're doing this quick thing, and then you're in the depths, and then you're assembling these things. And then there's this I won't ruin it because it's pretty cool. And then you're in the spirit temple with this little boss that wasn't like particularly hard, but it was all thematically really cool. And it all really hit like all the right, like it still isn't like your traditional really cool Zelda dungeon, but it was like the closest to like, this is so cool, because it felt like I naturally stumbled into and discovered and got into this ridiculous thing. Excuse me. So I loved that. Similarly, have you run into any of the Colosseums down below? Did I talk about this on the first? No, because I think on the first pod we talked about how I had yet to run into a Lionel.
Right.
I ran into one in the depths, and the motherfucker's wearing armor.
Oof.
And it's the first time I've fought. Like, they have like different patterns that they're pretty easy to cheese once you know, but it had been since Breath of the Wild since I fought one.
Right.
So he just kept fucking me up. And then I beat him. But the armor, I had to knock off the armor, then I had to fight him, and then you're in the depths, so you have like the things that take away your hearts, and you have to like eat special food or get back to the light to even be allowed to heal. Mm-hmm. So then I stumble into this area, and it's a Coliseum, and I'm like, there's definitely cool gear in there. So you haven't done any of these?
Mm-mm.
Dog, you fight like 5 Lionels.
Oh, fuck that.
5, 6 in a row, and they get progressively harder. It was so cool. Like,
that's what do you call those? Like a boss gauntlet.
Pretty much, yeah. So it was really. It would like autosave for you, so if you lost to one, you'd be on the next one, but you didn't get the gear from the first one. And I'm like anal, and that's like the biggest thing in the new game, in my opinion, is the way that they've redone the thing where all your enemies drop unique loot, so to speak, and it's like the guts, or the nails and teeth or whatever, the stupid things, and those are attached to your arrows, used for crafting. But the third thing is it's usually some sort of crown or horn. And that's what you use for your weapons. And that's what makes making and fusing weapons really unique and really fun, and like the joy of creativity and combination in the game, right?
Right.
So Lionels drop like the most powerful stuff. So I was like, I'm not gonna, like, even if I get through this, I don't want to get through this and only have like 1 Lionel's crown and horn and things, because you get like 2 from Lionel's actually.
Okay.
So I had to run off. I had to cook a bunch of meals. I had to prep. I got back in there. I got the cadences down right, and I fucked them all up.
Nice.
And I got some gear, and it was really cool. So that was like another moment of like really liking this game. And then I finally took down one of those Gleelocks or the dragons or whatever.
Oh, those are tough too.
Those are tough. The trick is, to use the eyeballs.
Okay.
Because that like auto hits your opponent. Right. So that like really helps. And I thought those battles are just like really epic, kind of like set pieces, almost really cool. The first one I ever killed, I like flew all the way to this island way off in the northwest, like on its own. I was like, what's over there? Then I got close and I was like, a fucking dragon. Tight. And I did it though. Like I died the first time. I learned all the patterns, and then I did it, and it was really cool. But I low-key don't like the loot from the dragons. I thought that was a missed opportunity. They're not as strong as the Lionels, and they're different things. So in the first game, or in the first pod, I really couldn't avoid the comparisons between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. And it's natural, right? They feel like the same game, but one's just supercharged. Whereas now I've played enough where I had a rut, and I played some other games, and I powered through it, and I'm back in, and it's like, that's all I've been playing lately, other than Super Mario Land 6 coins.
Damn rewind and shit.
Rewind and shit, ripping through, because I got But it's like, it hits all those same points where I'm obsessed with finding the different outfits. I'm obsessed with the different weapons and the different discoveries. But it's just so much, man. I'm 120 hours at least, I think.
Nice.
And like,
it's like double my time now.
Yeah, Al has fallen off.
I did.
Defend yourself. But I have huge areas of the depths. Still don't love the depths. It's pretty rare that I actually like really vibe with what's going on in the depths. I've just mostly found it frustrating. But like, there's cool moments.
Have you done the ninja campaign or whatever that dude's name is from Breath of the Wild?
No, because I still haven't unlocked the full overworld up or the full base level. And I love, it's going to be all my side questing. I still have all this area to like 2-3 areas to unlock the towers in the base world, which is crazy. I've played so much and I still haven't even got that. I do love how even though the base area is the same map, which is like the greatest map in gaming, so I get it. It's the same map, but they're like different little things have changed. So you go to an old town and like the dynamics are different. They've been built up different. There's new buildings. So it's like that post-apocalyptic, like, oh, we survived and like, how are we going to rebuild? How is things going to be different? So like, even though you're going to an old place, like it's different now. It's new. Right. So there's tons going on. I'll probably play it for another month, I would assume, before I'm done. So like, this might be like the rare story-based game that cracks that 200.
Nice.
Usually games that crack 200-300 are like Civ, where it's like campaign. It's like,
I like your Slay the Spire type deal.
Yeah, like roguelikes, like these things where it's like there's almost like a compulsion to play it, or games you've replayed.
Sure.
Like these open world games are good for like 40 to 100 hours, and then you're just super burnt out.
See, I got a little burnt out on it. I definitely fell off. Here's the deal, though. I still really enjoy it.
Yeah.
I just took the opportunity to take a break, I would say, because that was the only game I played pretty much all of last month.
I have to give myself little objectives or else it's too much.
And that's just it. And that's kind of what I ran into is the ADD of it all. So like if I have purpose, and I don't always want to like enter the game with a purpose. So it's like an interesting thing.
It's conflicting. Yeah. Yeah.
But I was really enjoying kind of this, like the Dragon Tears for me. Like I really enjoyed like going and unlocking all those memories. And I thought like the storytelling behind those is really cool. But then once that was done,
Sexy Ganon, you mean?
Yeah, dog.
There's actually an article.
Zaddy.
What is it? Polygon or someone interviewed the dude who got to do the character design, and basically he got the okay to make Ganon a little sexier, and he was like pumped for that. And I was like, fucking love.
Send it.
Yeah, fucking hilarious. Love that he's like, can I make him like a little daddy-ish? Like, come on.
That's great. Dude, fucking I mean all those, like what's his people called again?
Oh, they're the Gerudo.
Yeah.
Is that their name?
Dude, if he's the only dude Gerudo, you gotta be sexy. Otherwise I feel bad for all the lady Gerudo. All the bows.
And he's the bow. I don't know.
Yeah,
they're always weird.
But dog. Dude, so like that's the ADD of the game kind of made me fall off. I don't want to say fall off of it because I'm not like, I don't want to play this game again. I want to play it again. I just took like a big breather, right? So I'm going to get back into it. I
mean, 60 hours traditionally is like a whole ass game.
Right.
I've basically so me being at 2 hours and literally two and a half, 3 on dungeons of the 5 deep, and not even like, that's like half. I'm like halfway through the game if you think about it.
And the thing is when I approach this game too, like the nice thing about doing the, going into it with a little bit of purpose, like is helpful for me to plow through and like give it more time because I'm like, oh, I want to like take care of these tasks. But the thing is though, is no matter what you do in this game, no matter if you headed one direction to go take care of one thing, there's going to be 13 things on the side that are like, no, pay attention to me, pay attention to me. And I'm like, oh, fuck.
Or I get to a shrine and it's like not immediately easy. And I'm like, I don't want to grind on this one now.
Right. But those, that sounds like I'm taking a negative take on Zelda. The thing is like, it's a great game. Like, but for like, I'm happy that you have like doubled your time, and I'm looking forward to jumping back in and kind of like getting back into the groove of it. I just needed a little breather.
Yeah. I would just say, don't take too long where you're like, oh my God, what's going on?
Right.
Like you definitely want to chip away at it. But
it depends on what we do next month.
It's more Zelda. I'll definitely keep playing it, which is why I have yet to select my game of the month just yet for next month, because I'm like, what will not get in the way of Zelda?
Right. So you're gonna have to check the socials, and you're gonna have to check the Discord for that announcement. We'll announce that before the 15th.
So Alex always mentions you can follow him on Twitter, Instagram, even some Facebook. I'm on Truth Social. 4chan. You could,
dude. Before we sign off, you trying to get side quest and not let me talk about my side quest, dog?
No, I had that joke. I was gonna like try to find a time when you like actually brought up all the socials like earnestly, and I was like, yeah, follow me on all these deplorable places and just see if you were gonna keep it in.
Luke's got like life side quests where he goes out and signs up for fucking True Social.
I'm on no social media. It'd just be really funny all the times that you say you can't find Luke's on the social. But I'll sign up for one and like do like a really weird one, like follow me on 4chan.
It can be done.
I'll be busy harassing female celebrities for no good reason.
You've been playing anything other than Zelda, or just straight up Zelda?
I picked up Inscription again.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Act 2's hard as fuck, and I don't know.
Just wait till 3. I think it depends on your deck, man. Act 2 is going to depend a lot on the deck that you choose.
It's still super cool. The art is so gorgeous. Like I actually took some screenshots. I love that.
Nice.
Still playing the show. Won the World Series. Didn't actually play well. That's why baseball games are really weird because like your batter isn't even doing that well, and your team's like, we won the World Series. I'm like, I didn't even really contribute. Hit 59 home runs in a season. Do you know how fucking frustrating that is? Like I'd rather have hit 55, but the fact that I was one shy of 60, I was like, so I'd be bashing them. Slow down.
You gotta start juicing in the off season, dude.
I wish they made it a lifestyle RPG where you like had these weird moral. That'd be so great if someone took sports games and like made them a little less ethical, a little bit more like real. And
dude, that's our thing. That would be more like the juice and baseball game. That would be it. More dingers. That's what it'll be called. More dingers.
Nah, like I've always wanted like. Because I signed a contract, and the team offered me some bullshit contract, and then I'll get into the nitty gritty of arbitration. I won't explain what it is, but I won the dispute, and I got paid $30 million a year.
That happens. That's kind of cool.
That's how in real life baseball you have like team control, so to speak, for like 3 years, where they pay you the dick salary that they pay you, and then it's up for arbitration. So you submit a number, and the team submits a number, and a judge literally decides who's right.
Right on.
That like really happens in baseball for 3 years. And so after 6 total years, you hit true free agency. And then anyway, no one came here for that. But so badly in sports games, I want there to be a reason for me to like push for a huge contract.
Yeah.
Like let me do something with that money that's fun. Give me a reason to want to hit free agency and cash out. Give me a reason to beef with my team about how much money
there's
I'm getting paid.
cutscenes where Luke's like driving a Porsche and shit. Like
something stupid like that. Or like your teammates are mad because you're mad salty about your contract. Like, give me those weird nitty gritty. Like, that's what I really crave in these baseball games. Is like, let me be a giant asshole with money. I don't know. Give me a reason to need.
You're not going to remember this, but there's the Playboy Mansion game that came out. Like, it was basically The Sims, but it was Playboy.
This is ridiculous,
like, dude. Now we need to get us some developers on the line so we can create our like baseball sim where you're just out doing ridiculous Playboy Mansion type shit only.
That game must have caught. So I have so many more questions about that. Did you play it?
Yeah, dog, we had it
at the house.
Oh yeah,
you did. This was an Alex thing. There's no way you were playing that in the open.
So it was I played it in the open. It was like very The Sims. It was like it was a little bit more extreme, but there wasn't like actual nudity in there or anything. You might have been able to see some titties. I can't remember.
This is definitely you're misremembering. There's no way you weren't doing this in college versus the house.
Nah, dude, it was at the house because I pirated the game as a kid.
Yeah, you're real into that.
So I didn't like go to like Target and buy this game or whatever.
But you also pirated a ton at college, so like
this is a public forum. Let's not talk too much about like the piracy here. I'm just kidding.
Statute of limitations, I'm sure it's expired.
It's a former life. But dude, so
I was a minor. That's why he's saying he was in high school still.
No, it really wasn't high school.
I was a minor.
I'd have to look up but shit, what's his name, dude? There's an actual I think it's dude, is it who owns partial ownership of the Timberwolves right now? Is it him?
Rodriguez?
I don't know if it's Alex Rodriguez. Who is it? There's a baseball player that like comes to the Playboy Mansion though in this game, and it's so funny, dude. Like this I'm gonna have to dig this game up. Fucking A.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, you have a side quest. That's been
have some side quests.
A lot of strangeness for a while.
So going off the sports, man, I got really into NBA 2K again. I've been playing through the My Jordan challenges or whatever.
Yeah,
and I've been having a lot of fun with that. So there's basically
it's pretty cool. They showcase the second best player of all time.
Get the hell out of here.
It's pretty cool. that they would create that avenue for. Yeah,
is I pitted Jordan and LeBron James against each other in a one-on-one match just for fun to see who would win. But then I got bored and I didn't go.
LeBron's not a one-on-one player. There's
well, you know who,
more of a
who
team,
can be
more of a team player.
Get the fuck out of
here.
here.
No, but honestly, dude, the way his game is modeled, he's more of a Magic Johnson than he is a Michael Jordan. But continue.
Yeah, so he's not the best player of all time. But here's the deal: best player of all time has this whole entire game mode that shows all these pivotal moments of Jordan's career.
Stories,
So there's a little bit of story, a little bit of an interview with someone pivotal in NBA history, like talking about whatever happened in the games.
More Jordan propaganda, and there's definitely no shortage of that.
It's great, but then you play these games and it's fun.
The Last Dance is like, have you smelled Jordan's jockstrap though?
But they have
fucking good.
Dude, they have all these different challenges or there's 3 challenges to each challenge, right? Or there's 3 things you have to check off. You don't have to, but to progress,
boss
it's
like
yeah, pretty much. But the thing is, be ridiculous though. So like some of his games, like there'll be one of these deals. It's like you have to score like 60 some points, like 63 points or whatever as Jordan, and it's like, okay, cool. That's a lot of points for one player to score in a game by themselves, especially when it's like when the game is on default set to be 5-minute quarters. It's like I did. So like that's how I was able to like change it to 12-minute quarters, and then you can check that off, dude. In this particular
Jordan
game,
did it in 48 minutes. So.
Yeah, I know. So here's the deal. But like, the funny thing is, the game where he sets a scoring record or his personal scoring record, I set it up to 12 minutes. In the 4th, I hit it. I like was able to do that check mark by, I think I scored 1 point over, so it was perfect. Yeah. And then I ended up falling out of the game because I had too many fouls as Jordan trying to steal the ball and shit.
So did you not pass the?
No, I passed. You still get it, but it was just kind of funny to me because they're like in the commentary, they're like talking about Jordan's game and how he's like, and it's like,
what are you playing against?
That particular game was against the Cavaliers.
Okay, because I know early in his career, I actually know a shit ton about Jordan, and obviously I respect Jordan, but like. There's early in his career, he's just putting the absolute work on the Celtics in the playoff game. It was like a legendary.
So there's that game too.
But he actually loses, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So that's another interesting about this Jordan challenge stuff is like the challenge might be to win the game, but in real life, maybe they lost, that type of thing. So I've been playing NBA 2K. That one's been a lot of fun, dude. The other game, I also played a couple other games, but 2K has been taking a bunch of time. Recently, the Game Pass, one of the games that they've added is called Fist. I don't remember the second part of that title.
Looksky at it yesterday when I was bored.
It's a cool Metroidvania. It's kind of like the steampunk, or cyberpunk. It's like this cyberpunk animal thing. Yeah, it's like this cyberpunk animal thing, but it's very like Metroidvania. But it's cool. So you're like this weird like noir rabbit or whatever.
Fair.
That is like, we don't really need to get in the weeds on the story. The gameplay is really nice, and whereas you have like a Metroidvania in the sense of let's just take Metroid. Where you like have your guns and you're shooting stuff. Like this guy has this huge mechanic fist, and it almost incorporates it's almost like a beat 'em up game where you have the succession of different buttons will like do all these different hit combos, and you unlock like a skill tree and shit. It's very PlayStation-esque. The game first came out for PlayStation a while back.
Oh really?
So it's like has this PlayStation-esque skill tree, but it's a very satisfying button combos for when you're fighting bosses, right? So that's another main one. And the final one that I just started the other day is Firewatch. You heard of this one?
Yeah, it was like one of the first walking sims that got a lot of acclaim.
Yeah, so I'm about halfway
Chris
through.
Parnell?
That could be. I don't know who does the voice.
He does the shark in that one shark game, but he might also do this.
Dude, that reminds me. We didn't even mention that the sharks in Super Mario Land wear boxing gloves. What's that about?
That's a great point.
Nonetheless,
seeing that, I was like, huh.
Firewatch has been the other main game in the rotation for this past month, and it's a fun one. It's like the art style is really cool, and it's a nice like relaxing little deal. And then outside of the gaming realm, I have to mention this because this has been eating a bunch of my free time up. Is I've been watching the fucking Sopranos, and I mentioned this a while back.
You mentioned this on a previous one.
I definitely mentioned it in our Discord. I don't know if I mentioned it on the pod. But dude, I'm into season 5 of The Sopranos, and I've bounced off The Sopranos previously in my life 2 or 3 different times. I've gotten up to like season 3, and then for whatever reason, I was just like, I either got burnt out on it or whatever, just had other stuff, stopped watching it. So this time I was like, I'm gonna fucking watch The Sopranos in my free time when the wifey's at work or whatever.
Sure.
And so I've been doing it, dude, and it's been a lot of fucking fun. And like, dude, so like because I bounce off it so many times, like when people are like, "Oh, The Sopranos is so fucking great," and I'm always like, "Yeah, I don't know," never really captured me enough to like watch it all. Like I'm finally there. I'm finally there where I'm like, this show is pretty fucking good.
I finally got, like, it took me until just out of college before I watched The Wire, and that was awesome. Mm-hmm. But I've never done the deep dive into The Sopranos. I have some buddies that have. It's weird because obviously I was like a child when it came out, so not a lot of children have access to HBO,
right?
For very many good reasons. So like at some point to now, it's going to be such a period piece.
Yeah, no, it already kind of is.
Yeah, so like that'll be really interesting for me.
Yeah, it's funny, and it's like kind of similar to what we're talking about with the Game Boy earlier, and the limitations and just the way. Well, it's not apples to apples here, but you wouldn't have Breaking Bad without Sopranos, that type of thing, right?
It broke a lot of ground,
right?
Yeah,
and it's cool, man. And it's a story. Whereas in today's world, I feel like there's so much action, so much like there has to be so much going on in each episode. Whereas in the Sopranos, it's very character driven. So overall, you're very involved, less about like the action of what's happening and more about the development of each character.
Yeah, there's like a whole episode where they get like lost in the woods or something.
Yeah, it's considered one of the best ones. It's Pine Barrens.
Sure. So like my first introduction to even the fact that the Sopranos were anything to culturally was like The Simpsons did like a whole couch gag intro where it was like based on the Sopranos theme, and I was like, am I supposed to know what's going on here? Like it's one of those awkward moments where like Family Guy used to be the worst for this, but they'd just like always be referencing like 80s sitcoms, and I'm like, who's this for?
The creators.
Yeah, and like sometimes you see a movie and you're like, huh, that was like a whole Family Guy episode.
Right.
So The Simpsons especially, like I was more of a Simpsons kid, but yeah, it's kind of funny.
But Sopranos, man, I might even have the entirety of the series done by the next pod, which I'm excited for.
So you're not watching The Witcher, I see.
I haven't started The Witcher, no.
I got one episode in, and I was like, that's pretty good, but it's just video games or not TV for me. I don't watch a lot of TV shows.
Fair enough.
Until
You
the
got
wife
them
is
boys.
like, let's do something together. Then we watched The Bear, which is pretty sick.
Aw, dude.
Should we run around calling people chef in real life?
Yes, chef.
Yes, chef.
Heard. See, that's funny because people in like The Bear is another big side quest. We finished that. I fucking loved it. Season 2 of The Bears are great. But it is funny for me for non-industry people because I work in the industry part-time. To like start
industry,
the service industry.
I know, but like, it's just so funny whenever you hear people like they come into. I briefly worked at the restaurant. People would come in and be like, "Yeah, we're in the industry. Like, treat me different." I'm like, "Word, here's a fucking table."
Whatever, man.
It's just yeah. I mean, teachers is not like we don't do dumb shit like that. Like every profession does it. I just love like the industry.
But here's the deal. It's so funny.
Like, it's like your actor's like, show business, the industry. You wouldn't get it. You're not in the industry.
I love it though. I work with
working in a restaurant for 4 days. And you're like, the industry.
But it's great because like the whole world's watching The Bear right now. So it's like in my life, like my regular work life, not regular. My main work life is marketing, dude. So I had a meeting with one of my partners. And she was like, oh, we were talking about something. She was like, herd chef. And I was like, the fuck? Or something like that. I was like, it's hilarious. So you must be watching The Bear.
Do people in the industry are like, this show gets us? Or are they like, all these normies trying to understand?
It goes two ways, man. I think it's funny because it's like, it is a fairly good portrayal. That's not entirely. It's like they do a fair portrayal of like what's going on. Every restaurant's gonna be different, dude. But it's just funny because for some folks it hits too hard.
Yeah.
And for other folks, they're like, "Oh, cool, I'm being represented." And like some people are like, "This is ridiculous."
Our brother won't watch it.
Yeah, our brother Aaron is a chef.
Yeah, so he won't watch it. He's just like, he recently
already lived that life.
Yeah, he recently escaped the industry, kind of like the drug cartel type shit. Like he escaped that life. So I think the idea of watching that show probably, and he, as far as like you said that every restaurant's different, I think this does a pretty good portrayal of like a specific type of high end type of culinary world. Whereas maybe season 1 a little less so because it was that end, like a typical beef shop in Chicago. But yeah, add to our list of brooding male superstars. We had Henry Cavill, Arthur Morgan, and now Jeremy Allen White.
Yes, sir.
Just always.
I'll give a grunt for Jeremy, but all he does is like squint.
He just squints and like smashes his forehead and like stressed out smoking. He is the king of stressed out smoking, bro. Like I've never like he went to acting school, I'm sure, but I'm sure that all of his classes are just like, how do I look like a brooding male who smokes and has too many feelings, and I don't want to talk about them, but I'm going to talk about them now.
Indeed.
Like that's his whole between Shameless and this. I'm like, they're very different characters, but at the same time, they have such through lines of like.
It's speaking of
just gonna
escaping the
brood
industry.
and rip a heater.
It's time to escape this pod.
Wow.
Thanks for hanging, everybody.
Wow. Dick.
No, this has been a fun one, man. Thanks, Luke, for being on, as always.
Just cut me off. Rip us in.
If you want to talk the bear, you want to talk about other shit, get at us in the Discord. You can holler at me on the socials at low5gaming.com. You can also shoot us an email at hello@low5gaming.com.
Get Alex on Threads, 4chan,
Yes, sir.
Truth Social. Get him everywhere, dog.
I'm on Threads. That other shit, that's Luke. No, Luke's not on the socials. If you want to talk to him, he's on the Discord. Much love, y'all. Thanks so much for hanging with us again. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave us a rating on your podcatcher of choice if they have it. If not, tell your fucking friends about us. Share us around. That's the best way to get this podcast out there further. Yeah, you fucking rock. Till next time.
The 90s are overrated. Bye.
Jordan.